Okay, here we go.
So you already started mine, huh?
No, start yours too.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm waiting for the live to come up here. And my computer's acting funny. There we go.
It says recording.
Hello,
paused.
everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study on paper 28. Whoops, I moved my screen by accident. We're in section 6, paragraph with the number 4, Solemnity of Trust, and that's on page 315 of the original Urantia Book. And let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this wonderful revelation. Open our hearts and minds tonight that we might remember this and share it with friends and family. We thank you for your many blessings for us each and every day. Pray that you'll be with this meeting tonight. And thank you for all those that listen at home and on Facebook and YouTube, Vimeo, and all the different places we go out to and all the different videos. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. And
Amen.
dear, would you take the first paragraph there?
Who?
My dear wife, Diane.
I didn't hear.
Yeah, y'all are all dear to me, but you're not my dear. Okay.
Okay. Oh boy. 4, the solemnity of trust. Trust is a crucial test of will creatures. Trustworthiness is the true measure of self-mastery, character. These Seconaphim accomplish a double purpose in the economy of the super universes. They portray to all will creatures a sense of the obligation, sacredness, and solemnity of trust. At the same time, they unerringly reflect to the governing authorities the exact trustworthiness of any candidate for confidence or trust.
Now, we could spend 8 months, maybe a year, talking about this paragraph because we have an issue on this planet, a big issue on this planet. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox too much. Maybe I will. Solemnity of trust. What do y'all think that means? That means when you're put in a trusted position, the most critical obligation you have as a human being is not to betray that trust. Okay? Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that most of the politicians in our government, not all, but most of the politicians in our government have failed this first test on this paragraph. Okay? Because they have misused, and this is my opinion, they have grossly misused their trust. We put trust in them when we elect them to office. We put trust in them to do the will of the people. We did put trust of them in them not to steal money, not to take bribes, not to do all these things that's going on in our government right now. Okay? And they can cut me off the Facebook or whatever, that's just fine. But I have to say it. Trust is the most important job we have. All right. And that's what these angels do. They make sure that we are trustworthy. Now, do you think when these guys get to the mansion worlds, they are going to be found trustworthy?
Nope.
I don't either. I really don't. I don't think they'll be found trustworthy at all. And you think they will be put in positions of responsibility in the universe like they're talking about here in the economy of the universe? I don't think so, right? Because they failed on their trust in the most basic manner on this planet. When people take jobs and when they are representatives of the people, the most important thing they do is fulfill that obligation of representation for the people above all else. above all else. Yeah,
Can I say something?
yes, please, Rodney.
I mean, and this is a very small, Talkeetna is very small, as
Yeah.
you're aware.
Yeah.
Way back when, I was voted in as being the chairman and the serviceman for the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Right.
And so it was a political position
Right.
that I had. I found it very difficult. I had to get out of that position. I couldn't please everybody.
Yeah, you can't.
I would do one thing, most of the people would be happy, but a lot of them were not. It didn't matter what I did.
Yeah.
I never pleased everyone.
Right.
I was put in a very bad position because I want to be trustworthy.
Trustworthy. Yes.
And although I would be to one group, the rest of them I wasn't.
Right.
So, at any rate.
Yeah. Now, on that note, we're going to go to the next paragraph because there's a reason for that, Rodney. We're going to see what that reason is in the next paragraph. Okay. So let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the second paragraph?
All right. On Urantia, you grotesquely essay to read character and to estimate specific abilities. But on Uversa, we actually do these things in perfection. These Seconaphim weigh trustworthiness in the living scales of unerring character appraisal. And when they have looked at you, we have only to look at them to know the limitations of your ability to discharge responsibility, execute trust, and fulfill missions. Your assets of trustworthiness are clearly set forth alongside your liabilities of possible default or betrayal.
Okay. Very first sentence is the answer, Rodney. On Urantia, you grotesquely, not just badly, but grotesquely essay to read character and estimate specific abilities, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's the whole problem, right? On Uversa, they do things in perfection, so they don't have that problem, right? So what's our problem on this planet? Why is it so bad on this planet? Because we grotesquely essay character, right? And when people go, put their hat in for office, we don't know anything about them. Nothing, really. Think about it. When you go to vote, do you know anything about these people that you're voting for? Most of the time you don't. You see a little blurb here or there and a sign or a commercial or something, but you don't know who these people are. Do you think we're qualified to elect people to represent us? No.
Not really.
We're not, because number one, we're not trained how to qualify these people. Number two, we're not given information on these people. There should be literally essays on every single candidate available. They used to do these in newspapers. I don't know if y'all remember, a long time ago, when you picked up a newspaper before an election, they had a whole section that would tell you everything about that candidate, what they stood for, what they believed in, and all that. You can't find that anymore. With the internet, the way it is right now, you should be able to look up candidates and find everything there is to know about them in one place, right? On a ballot, but it's not that way. So do you think we have the information to make logical decisions to elect people? No, we don't. The other thing is we're not trained how to elect people. Okay, what am I talking about? Read paper, I think it's 73 or 78 one, I can't remember off the top of my head. Government on a neighboring planet. Before they elect people on this planet, you have to be trained and authorized to vote. Okay. And that's what we need on this planet so that we get representation by the people.
Should be educated.
To be educated for it,
Exactly
right? You just don't, just because you have a name and you have a driver's license should not authorize you to walk in and vote for people. I'm sorry, that's just the truth and the way it is. You want the truth or you want to live in fantasy land, right? The truth is we need to be trained how to vote, who to vote for, why we should vote this way or that way, and then we would be what? An educated society. And that's what they're talking about here in this second paragraph. All right, it said these Seconaphim weigh your trustworthiness. How do you think they do this? They see your character just as raw as it can possibly be, right? So they know whether your trustworthiness, you have any trustworthiness at all, right? And they also know what? Your assets, along with your liabilities, the possibility of your default or betrayal. Why is that important? It's called the Lucifer rebellion.
Yeah.
Right? We see what happens when you default or betray your trust, right? And that's the road we're on in this country right now. We've got a lot of people that are betraying their trust and defaulting on their job, right? Now I'm really preaching, right?
No, this is very significant because of the scripture.
You know, I like to stay away from politics in these meetings and stuff, but this is the truth, right? They want us to learn the truth, and that's all there is to it. Okay.
And I may say something on this.
Go right ahead, Gary.
All righty. Number one, I can't get my camera on, so I can do it incognito.
That's all right.
But anyway, we always talk about rights, or right this, or right that,
Right
even
that.
though there aren't even rights.
Yeah.
And they never talk about responsibilities. For
Right.
every right you have a constitutional responsibility.
That's right.
If you have the right to vote, you have the responsibility to make yourself an informed voter.
That's right.
And
That's right. And it's not easy, is it, Gary? It's not an easy
It
process.
takes time.
oh, it is a
Yeah.
terrible process because this last election we had locally here,
Yeah.
I did not vote for one of the few times in my life for that exact reason.
Can get the
I told
information
my
you
wife,
needed.
I don't know anything about anybody.
Yeah.
And so
And that's a
why
problem.
go pull a lever, huh?
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? I mean, any way you look at it. Because if you don't have information on people, you're pulling the lever, as you say, for people you know nothing about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happened in our last major election in our state here, terribly. I mean, it was horrible, but I'm not going to go there. Lech, would you take the next one for us, please? Is the plan of the
It's true. It's true.
It is the plan of your superiors to advance you by augmented trust just as fast as your character is sufficiently developed to gradually bear these
Gracefully.
added
gracefully bear? To
gracefully.
gracefully bear. Yeah.
gracefully bear these added responsibilities. But to overload the individual only courts disaster and ensures disappointment. And the mistake of placing responsibility prematurely upon either man or angel may be avoided by utilizing the ministry of these infallible estimators of the trust capacity of the individuals of time and space. These Seconaphim ever accompany those high in authority, and never do these executives make assignments until their candidates have been weighed in the Seconaphim balances and pronounced not wanting.
You can't ask for better than that, can you?
Yeah, really.
All right. let's go on to the next one. Sanctity of service. Let me say one more thing about that before we get off of it. What they're talking about, those high in authority, these are mortals have gotten to into those positions. So when they assign someone to a job, they know whether they can do the job or not, right? That's basically what they're saying here. Okay, so let's go on to the sanctity of service. Gary, would you take that one, please?
Okay, sanctity of service. The privilege of service immediately follows the discovery of trustworthiness. Nothing can stand between you and opportunity for increased service except your own untrustfulness, your lack of capacity for appreciation of the
Solemnity of trust.
Thank you.
Okay, so the angels of the sanctity of service basically feel like it's a privilege for you to serve. So they want to make sure that you are trustworthy enough to do the job they're going to give you. So they check on your untrustworthiness, period. Okay. All right, Pam, would you take the next one? Service is purposeful.
Service, purposeful service, not slavery, is productive of the highest satisfaction and is expressive of the divinest dignity. Service for service, increased service, difficult service, adventurous service, and at last divine and perfect service is the goal of time and the destination of space. But ever will the play cycles of time alternate with the service cycles of progress. And after the service of time, there follows the super service of eternity. During the play of time, you should envision the work of eternity, even as you will, during the service of eternity, reminisce the play time.
Okay, so if you plan on getting to heaven or getting to the mansion worlds and playing your harp and sitting around doing nothing, you're in the wrong place, aren't you? All right, we have play, but we have to work also. We got a job, we got to do it. Work. It's all about work, right?
How about the drums?
Yeah. Something about the drums.
Roger,
Yes,
I guess you will have to learn recreation.
you do. You'll have to learn.
You will have to, because you're always working.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna have to learn to turn off the mind a little bit. You know?
Stop working.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Jane. I was working with my next door neighbor. He's got a little project going on, helping with him. And I can't turn it off even when I'm working on something else. We were standing around and I was standing there talking about the mercy angels while we were sitting there working today. You know, and he goes, you know, you always got something interesting to tell me every time we work. You know, it's my problem is cutting it off, I guess. All right. Let's see. Rodney, would you take the next one, the universal economy?
Yes. The universal economy is based on intake and output. Throughout the eternal career, you will never encounter monotony of inaction or stagnation of personality.
Mm-hmm.
Progress is made possible by inherent motion. Advancement grows out of the divine capacity for action. And achievement is a child of imaginative adventure. But inherent in this capacity for achievement is the responsibility of ethics, the necessity for recognizing that the world and the universe are filled with a multitude of differing types of beings. All this magnificent creation, including yourself, was not made just for you. This is not an egocentric universe. The gods have agreed. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And said your master's son, he who would be greatest among you, let him be server of all.
That's Jesus, right? That's straight from
Yeah.
Jesus's mouth. So, you know, it's interesting, as my wife and I were talking about getting older today at lunch a little bit. And the funny thing is this, as you get older and you get closer and closer to that transition period in life, you know, where you go on to the mansion worlds, your body may fail. You know, as you get older, it's like I always say, getting old is not for sissies. It's just not. I mean, it is tough. And as we get older, we have so much to give and serve. That's the whole point. We're wisest near the end of our life, not the beginning of our life, right? So we got to remember this. And when you meet older people and you have family that's older and stuff like that, we have to keep our minds open to the fact that these people have experienced things that we did not yet, right? So as you get older, you get wiser over time. As you get closer to the end, it seems to be that we younger people want to just shut them down, you know, say, oh, I just set them aside, put them in an old folks home, forget about them, right? And that's exactly opposite of what we should be doing. We should be tapping into their wisdom. We should be tapping into their experience and things like that, so that we can grow as they grew and got to that point. Because just as you're getting ready to jump off to the mansion worlds, you're probably the wisest. You're wisest. You know, think about that.
Our next door neighbor's from Romania, and he talks about his mother and his father quite often about, you know, their values and everything, which he definitely adheres to. He has wonderful values also.
Yeah, he definitely picked up their value system.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's a pleasure to be around them.
Yeah. Okay.
I just
Yeah.
like to make a comment.
Yeah, please.
The top dog of our universe, our creator, he could have left, what, right after his baptism?
Yeah. Yeah. He could have
He
went
was
on. He was done. Yeah.
For, I forgot how long, a couple of years,
3 years, I think it was 3 years and some months.
3?
Yeah. Yeah.
to serve
Yeah.
us, the lowest creature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He served us.
Yeah, he did. Jane, did you have something you were going to say? You looked like you raised your hand earlier and I didn't get to you.
No, I'm okay. Thank you, Roger.
Oh, Pam?
Thank you.
No.
Oh, you're
Okay.
just waving.
Okay. All right.
So
Like
as far as
comment.
goes, he set a very good example.
Yes,
That's
he
what
did.
it's all about.
That's what it's. That's right. Serving. And that he said it many times, service, right? Over and over again. Let's, did you have something to say too?
Well, I was going to say that the Orientals and the Asians, when they're young, their point of view is that they look forward to getting old because they're respected for their wisdom.
Yeah.
They're way ahead of us in our Western world in that respect.
It is. Total difference in culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. You know. Okay. Let's see who's next. Pam, I think you're next.
The real nature.
Yes.
Real nature of any service, be it rendered by man or angel, is fully revealed in the faces of these Seconaphim service indicators, the sanctities of service. Full analysis of the true and of the hidden motives is clearly shown. These angels are indeed the mind readers, heart searchers, and soul revealers of the universe. Mortals may employ words to conceal their thoughts, but these high Seconaphim lay bare the deep motives of the human heart and the angelic mind.
So you can't fool them, can you?
Yeah, no, why bother?
Yeah, they read your mind. That's all there is to it.
But
Right?
wouldn't that be nice to have somebody like that on Earth? Well, that would put a lot of chicanery to rest, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure would. It surely would. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay,
6 and 7.
yes. The secret of greatness and the soul of goodness. The ascending pilgrims, having awakened to the import of time, the way is prepared for the realization of the solemnity of trust and for the appreciation of the sanctity of service. While these are the moral elements of greatness, there are also secrets of greatness. When the spiritual tests of greatness are applied, the moral elements are not disregarded, but the quality of unselfishness revealed in disinterested labor for the welfare of one's earthly fellows, particularly worthy beings in need and in distress. That is the real measure of planetary greatness. And the manifestation of greatness on a world like Urantia is the exhibition of self-control. The great man is not he who, quote, takes a city or, quote, overthrows a nation, but rather, quote, he who subdues his own tongue.
That's one of the best quotes in the book right there. A great man is not he who takes a city or overthrows a nation, but rather he who subdues his own tongue. And I believe that's a quote of Jesus. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, he did mention
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, and that is a good measure of greatness, any way you look at it. All right. So, well, that came up on that one, didn't it? Sweetie, when I hit that. All right.
And you can
Here-
also say that in subduing your own tongue, you're subduing your ego.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. I also like in this paragraph where it says a measure of a planetary greatness, right, is one that serves those who are in need and in distress, right? You know, how much as a planet do we help one another? That's very, very important. All right. All right. Dear, would you take the next one, please?
Greatness is synonymous with divinity. God is supremely great and good. Greatness and goodness simply cannot be divorced. They are forever made one in God. This truth is literally and strikingly illustrated by the reflective interdependence of the secret of greatness and the soul of goodness, for neither can function without the other. In reflecting other qualities of divinity, the super-universe Seconaphim can and do act alone, but the reflective estimates of greatness and of goodness appear to be inseparable. Hence, on any world and any universe must these reflectors of greatness and of goodness work together, always showing a dual and mutually dependent report of every being upon whom they focalize. Greatness cannot be estimated without knowing the content of goodness, while goodness cannot be portrayed without exhibiting its inherent and divine greatness.
That's a catch-22 statement, the last statement.
Roger, you're muted.
Oh, was I muted through that whole thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sounds like me, honey.
I'm just talking away. Right? Okay, let me see if I can recap what I just recapped. All right. So you can't have greatness without goodness, right? Okay, so the measure of how great you are in your life is really the indication of how good you really are, right? I mean, you can't have one without the other. And that's why these angels work together, right? All right. Pam, did you have something to say?
Yes. So when they're talking about greatness as synonymous with divinity, they're talking about, in the mansion world, not here on earth.
No, they're talking about here too.
Oh,
Okay. A great person is that person who's has the soul of goodness within them. In other words, your daily habits in this life have to be based on goodness. That's it, right?
Hmm.
Secret of success, as they say. You can't be a great soul unless you have developed the innate capability of goodness. And what is the innate capability of goodness? It's divinity, right?
What's
Where do
that,
you get the
Roger,
goodness?
again?
The innate capable of goodness is divinity. Okay, comes from the divine. Where does the divine come from? It comes from your thought adjuster. What do you think your thought adjuster does spiritualizing your life daily? It is converting those things in your life into goodness, right? Perfection. So the more good you become, the greater you become as a useful spirit for the future and the universe. Make sense?
Mhm.
It
One
does, but
follows
it
the other.
doesn't.
Well, one
Because-
follows the other.
Can you define goodness?
Being godlike.
Right.
Well, here's my example. Give me an example. You tell me this is goodness. I know a person that carries $5 bills so that when they go out and they see somebody on the street corner, they'll give them a $5 bill.
Mhm. That's altruism. That's not goodness.
and why do they give it?
Yeah, what's their motives?
That's the another question. That's one of the motivations behind the question, I believe.
Yeah, but
I,
that is definitely altruistic. That's not goodness, right? Jane, go ahead, ask your question or make your comment.
So for my own understanding, can I then summarize goodness is the desire to do good to others
Uh-huh.
and to create favorable conditions for others.
And you could add to that the reflection of the divine,
Exactly.
you know?
well,
If
wait
you
a
think
second. You
about it,
also-
goodness
it also-
is the reflection of God within you, right? The divine, right?
Which
Gary?
translates in action.
Which translates in action. You
As-
can't have goodness without action. You can't have goodness without what? Service, and more service.
And favorable condition to create for another favorable condition for spiritual growth would be
Yes.
the responsibility we have.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Gary, what was you going to say?
I think you also have to add into the goodness the intention of doing good without the expectation of reward.
That's exactly right, Gary. That's exactly right. You do goodness for the sake of service, for goodness, not for the sake of reward, right? That's where the politicians step in and make the mistake, right? They get elected to make money, to benefit themselves, to become rich. That's not to serve. That is the big problem. If you want to go serve in an office, any kind of office, political or not, you have to want to serve, right? You don't serve for your own benefit. You serve for the benefits of others, right? Let me ask you a question. Do you think I teach this on Tuesday and Thursday night for my own benefit?
No.
No, I know the book. I could sit home and read it and be big brained and puff myself up and think I'm Mr.
Because you're
Smart.
excited to share it with others.
I'm excited to
Yes.
share it with others, right? It does me
That-
no
that-
good to maintain it within myself, right? It does no good whatsoever. But if I share it, other people benefit from it, right? It's not me that benefits. I benefit for myself because I go over it again, right? It's always a self benefit, you know, regardless of what you do, it always benefits yourself. But the reason I do it is not for self benefit, for my self benefit. I do it to serve others so that others can realize the joy of sonship, right? The
Correct.
joy of God. That's why we do it.
Roger, I've got a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Rod.
Goodness is unfailing goodness is one of the fruits of the Spirit.
Fruits of the Spirit. That's right.
It's something that comes through you.
Automatic. It's second nature, right, Rodney? You don't think about it, you just do it, right?
It's number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
The fruits of the Spirit, right? It becomes a habit. That's the big thing. When goodness becomes a habit in your life, you're on the right track, right?
Wake up, it's always, what can I do good today?
That's right. You
And
know,
it's a good day.
it's an exciting day. We're going to go do some good for somebody, right? And that's what we do. Now, you don't have to just do it for people. You can do it for animals. You can do it for other creatures in the world, right? You can do it with every action of your life, right? Do you think it's a sacrifice when you get a small dog or a small cat that's been injured and needs love and affection and all that? You think that benefits your life? Of course it does. It does more for you than it does the animal, right?
Mhm.
But think of the goodness of doing that, because it puts you in a position to be able to express love and caring and things like that. And that bleeds over into not just your relationship with your animals, but it bleeds into every other relationship in your life.
That's right.
You know, why do you think we tell each other we love each other sometimes at the end of the meetings? Because we feel this overwhelming joy from sharing spiritual concepts and spiritual ideas with each other. And the joy of love just overwhelms us. It comes out, right?
Or
You can't stop it, you know? I mean, no matter what you try to do, it's just there, right? It's the joy of life, right?
Yeah,
I
I think
have-
our act of just being here with the group is an act of goodness in itself.
It is. It is sharing with each other, right?
Roger, I
Yeah.
looked in my Urantia book in the index
Yeah.
and looked up goodness and definition as, and it gives you the brief, a pretty, well, I kind of like to read it to
Go,
to
please,
you.
Gary.
It
go ahead
doesn't
and read
give
it.
a definition. It gives you like goodness and the page reference, but I
Right.
think by just reading that will give you a pretty complete idea
Go ahead
of
and read
what
it. to
goodness
us.
is.
Yeah.
Should I do it?
Yes.
Okay, goodness defined as carrying out divine plans, finite maximization of experience, fruit of the spirit, health of the soul, living, relative, evil, contrasted, always a personal experience, man's effort to discern God in spirit, nearness to divinity, revelation of divinity in final infinite value. I'm having a hard time saying sorry.
That's all
Shown in loving ministry of Father, Son, and Spirit, stabilizing, understandable only in relationships to personality, value realization of God's consciousness.
That pretty much covers it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's better than I could define.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's go on to the next paragraph. Greatness is synonymous with divinity. Did you just read that? Jane, would you take the next one?
The estimate of greatness.
No, the greatness is greatness. Oh, is that the one you just, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the next one, the estimate of greatness. I'm sorry.
Okay. The estimate of greatness varies from sphere to sphere. To be great is to be godlike. And since the quality of greatness is wholly determined by the content of goodness, it follows that, even in your present human estate, if you can through grace become good, you are thereby becoming great. The more steadfastly you behold, and the more persistently you pursue the concept of divine goodness, the more certainly will you grow in greatness, in true magnitude of genuine survival character.
There you go. Do I need to say anything more about that? It just lays it out. You know, that's
It
what
wraps it up well.
wraps it up really well. That's right. All right. Number 7, Ministry of the Seconaphim. Lech, would you take the first paragraph under Ministry of the Seconaphim?
Okay. The Seconaphim have their origin and headquarters on the capitals of the super universes, but with their liaison fellows, they range from the shores of paradise to the evolutionary worlds of space. They serve as valued assistants to the members of the deliberative assemblies of the super governments and are a great help to the courtesy colonies of Uversa. The star students, millennial tourists, celestial observers, and a host of others, including the ascendant beings in waiting for Havana transport. The ancients of days take pleasure in assigning certain of the primary Seconaphim to assist the ascending creatures domiciled on the 490 steady worlds surrounding Uversa. And here also do many of the secondary and tertiary orders serve as teachers. These Uversa satellites are the finishing schools of the universes of time, presenting the preparatory course for the 7-circuited University of Havana.
So the Seconaphim really served from paradise all the way down, you know, to the to Uversa and the planets, you know. All right, let's go on to the next one. Gary, would you take it, please, of the 3 orders of Seconaphim?
And the 3 orders of the Seconaphim, the tertiary group, attached to the ascendant authorities, minister most extensively to the ascending creatures of time. You will on occasion meet them soon after you depart from Urantia, though you will not freely make use of their services until you reach the terrene worlds of Orvington. You will enjoy their companionship when you become fully acquainted with them during your sojourning on Uversa school worlds.
So we'll actually meet them in the mansion worlds, but we really will get to know them while we're waiting to be transported to Havana, right? On the worlds that surround the capital of Orvington. All right, Pam, would you take the next one?
These tertiary Seconaphim are the time savers, space abridgers, error detectors, faithful teachers, and everlasting guideposts. living signs of divine surety, in mercy placed at the crossroads of time, there to guide the feet of anxious pilgrims in moments of great perplexity and spiritual uncertainty. Long before attaining the portals of perfection, you will begin to gain access to the tools of divinity and to make contact with the techniques of deity. Increasingly, from the time you arrive on the initial mansion until you close your eyes in the Havona sleep preparatory to your paradise transit, you will avail yourself of the emergency help of these marvelous beings, are so fully and freely reflective of the sure knowledge and certain wisdom of those safe and dependable pilgrims who have preceded you on the long journey to the portals of perfection.
So you could say that these tertiary Seconaphim are basically there to help us when we become uncertain about anything on the traverse to paradise, really. Okay, they're there to help us out. So if we become perplexed about some concept or what is to be or anything along the way, these tertiary Seconaphim through reflectivity can show us, reassure us, basically give us an example of what's to come, what to expect, and really make us feel comfortable, you know, all the way. You know, it's amazing how many angels that are there to help us along our pathway to paradise. You know, it's just unbelievable.
You know, and I'm sure that we will all feel a certain amount of uncertainty.
Yeah, at one time or another, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
How many times in this life you're uncertain about certain things, right?
Yeah.
You feel like, you know,
Right.
why am I here? What am I doing? That sort of thing, you know, and that's what they're there for. Rodney, would you take the next one, please? The last paragraph there.
Yes. We are denied the full privilege of using these angels of the reflective order on Urantia. They are frequent visitors on your world, accompanying assigned personalities. But here, they cannot freely function. This sphere is still under partial spiritual quarantine, and some of the circuits essential to their services are not here at present. When your world is once more restored to the reflective circuits concerned, much of the work of interplanetary and inter-universe communication will be greatly simplified and expedited. Celestial workers on Urantia encounter many difficulties because of this functional curtailment of their reflective associates. But we go on joyfully, conducting our affairs with the instrumentalities at hand, notwithstanding our local deprivation of many of the services of these marvelous beings, the living mirrors of space and the presence projectors of time.
Sponsored by a mighty messenger of Uversa. So because of our quarantine, because of the rebellion, we're still in essence cut off, right, on many of the circuits. So this makes it difficult for even the angels that are visiting with other beings on this planet to do their work properly because the circuits are not available to use, right, because of our quarantine. You know, and it's really funny. It makes you wonder if the quarantine was really completely lifted, how much of this type of thing that we would be privy to, really, you know, it would be available to all beings to see this thing. So all this garbage we see going on the internet, and all the garbage we see on TV, and all these things that bring us down and make us think that the world is going to, as they say, hell in a handbasket, right? It's really not. Okay, it appears that way because we have been cut off from the sustenance of divinity, if you think about it, because of the quarantine, right? And when that's restored, things will change dramatically. And I think when it's restored, we will be much more likely to be on our way to light and life, right? Because we'll see the positive aspects of things, right?
I wonder if it would, I mean, this is a thought that came to me. I mean, we pray for different things, but why not pray for this,
Restoration of the circuits.
yes, yes.
We should.
Why not? I mean, if more people are
The thing of it is,
focusing their,
Pam, there's a lag time of justice. That's the real problem. You know, the lag time of justice. We have
but
to
if
give
it
the
came
Ancients of
eventually,
Days
that
the
would be good.
opportunity. Yeah, if it came faster, it would be very good, right?
Very helpful.
But if it came
Yeah.
whenever,
Yeah, if it came whenever, right? You know,
If
I was talking to my next door neighbor today about judgment, and I was explaining to him that, you know, when evil people die, okay, and they're not going to awaken on the mansion world, they're not aware of it, because what happens is their guardian angel must justify their life before the Ancients of Days. And how do you think they do that? They do it through reflectivity. So they can't do it from this planet, can they? Think about this. We have been cut off from the circuits, so our guardian angels can't locally, reflectively communicate with the Ancients of Days, right? To do that, they have to get off the planet, right? They have to be, quote, quote, off planet to communicate with the Ancients of Days. So when an evil person dies, the guardian angel must justify their life before the Ancients of Days, before judgment can be done, to find out if they can be awakened on the mansion world, right? That happens pretty immediately. Okay, so think about this, and there has to be 3 Ancients of Days for that decision to be made. So our guardian angels has to go justify everything they've done for us to try to get us to make it to the mansion world. And they have to be found non-guilty of not doing their job, right? Really. So, you know, it's a process, but because we're on quarantine, even that had to change, because they can't do it right straight from our planet any longer. Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
In other words, you're just saying they have to go to a celestial phone booth.
Yeah, literally, Gary, that's what it means. And whether that's our system capital or whether that's the capital of our local universe, who knows? You know, it could just be the capital of the local universe. Either way, they have to get there pretty fast, because if you're justified to wake on the 3rd day on the mansion world, 3rd period, that would be, if you think about it, if 3 days equals 1 day on our system, on Satania, okay, that means within 9 days they have to justify your life, because on the 3rd period, what happens? You awaken on the mansion world if you're on the 3rd, made it to the 3rd psychic circle, right? So that means your guardian angels have to be pretty swift about what they do, right? They don't play around with it, you know.
So you don't want an old guardian angel.
Well, maybe you do.
You do.
Because he's going to be wiser.
That's right.
Right?
Roger,
So,
I have a question.
yeah.
When we pass away, how is our soul transported from where we die to the celestial pole of the planet?
The guardian
So-
angel takes it. Yeah, it's the
Guardian angel?
Guardian angel takes it. Yeah, he takes possession of your soul immediately upon the last functioning of the human brain.
So the reason I ask that in the not so distant future, say someone dies on the planet Mars,
Right.
perhaps they'll have to build a spiritual pole there too.
They probably already have one, Rodney.
Probably already have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably already have one there.
Wherever you
Yeah.
go, they go.
Anywhere there's a functioning human being, one functioning human, that's all it takes. If one person lands on Mars, that becomes what? A sanctioned planet for human habitation. Right?
True.
So at that point, all the necessary things that have to be on that planet to function as a spiritual pole has to be there. Right? Because that guardian angel has to take you from there. Even if they have to travel back from Mars to Earth to leave, that would happen, you know. We're thinking of things in human transportation. We're talking about spiritual transportation. It's totally different. You know, I'm sure there's circuits to every single planet that's got any being on it, right?
Right.
You know, that's the way I look at it. You know, think about it this way. There's an archangel circuit on our planet that's been here for, you know, 100,000, over several 100,000 years now, right? And it was established right after, it seems to me, if I remember correctly, right after the Caligasser Rebellion, you know? I mean, so it's been here, you know, 250,000, 300,000 years, right? So been here a long time.
How old is our planet? This is kind of off the cuff.
4 billion years.
4 billion years.
Yeah, right. It's been inhabited by humans a little over 990 some thousand years. But the planet was going for billions of years before the first habited human being was inserted by the life carriers, right? But we've only been here as inhabited beings for about a little bit less than 1 million years right now. Okay. I think it's 998,000 years, if I remember correctly. So we've been around a little while. Anyway.
So most of the time on this planet has been maturing or establishing itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We had not been a part of it. It's
Right.
been just, well, egotistically speaking, being prepared for us.
Being prepared for us. Yeah. Only the last 500,000 years has it really been developing as a spiritual planet. And if it wasn't for the Lucifer rebellion and the Adamic default, we would be at a totally different place than we are right now. Right. We really would be. So, but we've learned lots of lessons that other planets have not really, you know. So we're not really cursed. Right? It's just
I can see that as a benefit.
It has a benefit. It's just been more difficult for us. Okay, y'all. I think that wraps it up for tonight. Let's say a little prayer and we'll close for the night. And would you say a short prayer there for us, please?
Dear Heavenly Father God, we just thank you once again for bringing us together to study and learn the plan that you have already created for us so many years ago. We're so grateful that we had the opportunity to learn and to continue to learn the process and the things that we will go through and the tremendous journey that we'll all experience. And we are grateful for Roger's ability to communicate information that he's learned over many years. We thank you for each other. We ask that you continue to bless us, each of us and our families. Keep us focused on our journey and have us to bring into existence other individuals and bring them to the book to help them to grow and to learn and to know the truth and the path that has been prepared for us for millions and millions of years. We are so honored to be present and to learn this information. And we ask to bless each of our family members that hopefully will come to also join us on this journey. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, Michael of Nebadon, we give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And
Amen.
thank you at all from home who join us online and Vimeo and YouTube and Facebook and everybody that listens to our videos. We all love you. We hope you all make it to the mansion world. That's what we're doing this for.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything will be all right. Right? And I'm going to stop the
Thank you.
Facebook. Come see us next time. Let me stop.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you,
You're
Roger.
welcome.
Thank you.
See
You're
y'all.
welcome. Y'all have a great couple days.